everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. I am over Facebook. First interview of 2023. Woohoo! We made it! I am here with Robert from Northern Acoustics. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. So, Robert, you are with Northern Acoustics. You're a kind of three-piece, more acoustic-y, a little bit of rock, a little bit of metal kind of band.
Yeah.
Let's launch into that. How did you get started, and where's it going?
So originally when I first started actually performing music, I was hired as a professional musician for Pettinelli Entertainment. And I had met Alex Kangas through a couple of open mic nights, and Louis Pettinelli asked me for a full three-piece band to do more songs and bring that classic rock feel. So I brought Alex, who played bass, along. We did things as a duo. We kept doing a whole bunch of shows and stuff like that. And we decided, hey, we're going to do this band thing because we've been playing music together for over a year now. So, we already have that chemistry that clicks. We just need somebody else. And that's when Raleigh Detloff entered in. Raleigh Detloff was a radio DJ in Fargo, North Dakota for KRFF Radio Free Fargo. And I performed with him on a couple of his shows. He was really good at playing percussion. He would accompany me with bongos and stuff since I was doing like this sort of Bob Dylan thing with harmonica and guitar. I was just like, it's fun to do everything by yourself, but when you have a full backing band, it's this huge project that you're just like, I want to see where this goes. It's like raising probably a foal into a horse. You're like, oh, I can't see what the future brings for this. We performed several times as Northern Acoustics in Duluth and on the Iron Range after Raleigh Detloff had moved back. We just kept practicing. We kept all of our songs together. We started mainly out as a cover band, but we started writing originals, and I already had some old originals that we just jammed on first, and then we started writing songs together as a group. And it's a bit of a unfortunate circumstance because everything was going great until I would say probably November, and me and Alex actually got into an argument about asking the guys, hey, when are you free?
Yeah.
When are you free? And nothing. 2 weeks goes by, and I said, hey guys, if you don't want to be in the band, just don't say anything, and I'll just try to continue on as is. And I lost contact with him. Raleigh never spoke to me.
Yeah.
And I actually have a statement for Raleigh that he wrote for me.
For
to explain his absence.
for this interview.
For this interview, yeah. I
Okay.
reached out to Alex too.
Yeah. All right.
But he said, during my time with Northern Acoustics, I was privileged to be able to make music with Robert Wunderlich and Alex Kangas, and it was alongside them that I performed in live venues for the first time in many years. These shows were the highlights of the summer season in 2022. I had also created a few original pieces for the band to perform for live shows in the upcoming album. Unfortunately, as a radio DJ, I found my schedule to be rather busy and was ultimately unable to balance the commitment needed for Northern Acoustics with the commitment needed for my day job. I wish the band nothing but continued success in their future endeavors. I completely understand. My only qualm is I wish Raleigh is more of he's very family friendly, very family orientated. He likes to, he's in a different genre of songwriting than I am. I tend to be more focused on the struggles of overcoming addiction, of overcoming a lot of obstacles. I have a lot of things that I want to say about mental health issues, such as having PTSD from having traumatic experiences and stuff like that. And it's just like, I like to speak directly to the heart. Hey, this is something that I'm really enjoying. It's very catchy. It's but me and him did have different writing styles, and you could tell when it was
Yeah.
my song or his song.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Beatles thing.
Right. I was actually going to say
Yeah.
this sounds very reminiscent of the Beatles and Paul McCartney and John Lennon, and kind of how those two worked off each other. And the Beatles, they worked as the Beatles for quite a long time, but then
Oh
creative
yeah.
differences happen, life happens, experience happens, and that kind of sounds like what happened with you and the other members of Northern Acoustics. It was
Oh
just kind
yeah.
of creative differences. And, something that I've learned on a more personal note is people just naturally grow apart. You can't
Hmm.
stay stagnant. Which, Robert, that kind of sounds like what you write about and what you sing about as well.
Yeah. A lot of things that I come to learn about human nature is that there are two things that constantly stay the same. We never change, and we're always changing. I grew up in a very strict conservative Christian family, so I basically lived under a rock until I turned 18. Was just like, what is this music? Because I've never really listened to anything outside of, you know, hymns and Christian contemporary. So I'm just like, what is Nirvana? What is Red Hot Chili Peppers? What is the Rolling Stones even?
Oh,
I mean, it sounds so weird to have somebody that's just like, I've never experienced all these bands that happened way before I was even born. And
yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear that that is still alive and well and kicking.
yeah, I mean, my views have certainly changed and adapted. The community closeness that they have, being really close with one another, and I'm all about community. I'm all about being local. With the internet, you can just see the whole world for the picture that it is, and it's not usually a pretty picture to see.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you look at things in the local level, you're like, maybe things aren't as bad as they seem, because in my actual world, where, something in Africa isn't going to affect me here. You know, my neighbor who can't have dinner, that that affects me, because it's somebody that I know, it's somebody that I can help out and actually lend a hand to, reach out to. And that's one of the things that I really like to explore in my songwriting as well, is just the humanity of people, because it seems pretty easy for all of us to just be like, okay, let's isolate ourselves from everything, that way we only have to look out for me and mine. And I think as Americans, we did kind of lose our way by becoming more isolated from one another, instead of being neighborly, being friendly, and looking at somebody and saying, "Hey, how's your day going?" and giving them a nice big smile. You know,
Right, right. Very true, and definitely 2020 saw that isolation kind of around the world, but I think it also saw more of an outreach as well, especially using the internet and things like that to become even more kind of worldly and to understand each other and cultures and things like that. But to your point of kind of keeping things local and having that local community, we definitely have a great community up here, not only in music, but in
oh yeah,
theater and painting and a bunch of different art forms. So I think that's great that you've kind of tapped into that community. I have as well, and it's
yeah,
it's absolutely fabulous. It's just this vast network of creative minds coming together.
okay,
But I think something that you had touched on earlier in your songwriting, you like to write about the human condition almost. And you said you kind of write not necessarily from a darker place, but a place of I was in this dark spot and now look at where I am, kind of using that positivity. Can we dive into that a little bit?
it's kind of hard to talk about these things because they're from a personal experience. But I went through a lot of things. I don't want to name all of them specifically,
Yeah, of course.
but I will name one thing. My sister's son died before he even turned 1 years old, and that was just a horrifying, traumatic experience. I was next door when it happened, and everybody, all the sirens, the police cars, the ambulances, all converged at my sister's house. I have my neighbor knocking on my door saying, hey, you need to go and find out what's going on because they're all at your sister's house. The first thing that goes through your mind is like, oh man, the old guy she was living with, he ended up dying. And,
Right.
I go up to her and say, hey, what happened? And all she can say is, he's dead. And, I'm just like, you're talking about Claude, right? I walks right out the front door and my heart sank. Kind of felt like a frozen moment in time when you get that kind of like heartbreaking news. It's just like, everything like tends to zoom out and you barely even notice you're there. Um, it's like recovering from that took a lot of self-reflection because it's easy for everybody to just sweep under the rug and just be like, I'll never think about it again. It's fine. You know what? I will continue on with my life. And then you don't realize by bottling it up and not talking about it and not being open about it and just like keeping it to yourself, you tend to let these problems fester inside you. And they say it creates a sickness in the brain. And that's what mental PTSD comes from. Like um, when I started having children, I was gasping every time they did something just because I'm like, oh, anything can happen. It's that underlying problem. And a lot of it really took people to tell me, hey, you're not acting normal. You're reacting really negatively in these situations and it's not good and healthy for you. And for a long time, I didn't understand that it was these issues that I never really tackled in the first place. I just said, it's fine. It's whatever. I'm going to live my life and move on. The same with my sister and all that. My sister went and got help and kudos for her for that. I'm a bit wary about therapists, and I don't say this to say, hey, I don't like therapists, but I've already seen several therapists before, and a lot of them see anything wrong with me. I think part of it was I had that healthy outlet of songwriting. I had something to say, I'm feeling this way, I'm just going to write this, I'm going to play guitar this way, I want to create this atmosphere of how I'm feeling right now and just put that into a song. That's just where my songwriting comes from. I just create the atmosphere that I want with my guitar and I just open my mouth and let anything I feel like.
Have you ever, in the process of your songwriting, have you ever kind of molded two songs together, or?
Sometimes I'll have songs that have great verses but really weak choruses, or the opposite, the weak verses and great choruses. Usually what I do is I tend to look over my songs and say, hey, maybe this would be better here, this would be better there. But this is all after the fact that I've already written all these things from the top of my head, and I do take bits and pieces. And I wanted to mention that five of my best songs, I'm going to be going to Peter Anderson, the band PB&J, his studio to record in February. He's a really great guitarist, fantastic, brilliant college professor that's like doing music full time and one of those guys that's just really on it when it comes to the music. He's a local musician. He's just right across the bridge.
So it sounds like, are you going to release an EP come February? Are you going to wait until spring? What does that look like for you right now?
Actually, I'm recording in my own home studio.
Okay.
9 of the songs, I already have 4 of them completed, so 5 left. And then I wanted to do something locally with a bunch of group of musicians, such as Peter Anderson, Steven Sokella. I still need to reach out to a couple others to try to get them to see if they want to come on because I really want to like just have those 5 best songs and just really have people come and bring their own voices on it and just really, uplift the song. The other songs, the deep cuts as they call them, they were always B-sides to me. All the songs that are like, I don't know if this is going to be any catchy or not, but I like it. So I want it on the album. I really wanted to do a full feature-length debut album to put on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that stuff, and even have some physical CDs.
Do you have a date picked out for the album release, or is it still
Yeah,
tentative right now?
it's actually supposed to, our deadline is 05/20/2023.
Now, is it just going to be you, or are you going to kind of rope in some more local musicians? AKA, I see you have a Sev t shirt on. That's fabulous. Talking
Oh
about
yeah,
the
Severio.
community.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean I'm a big fan of Severio. He just does stuff on guitar that I'm just like, man, I need to go home and practice. But him and I play guitar different ways. Actually, no, I'm trying to get to the way he's playing because he's more of like if Hendrix was completely acoustic, the way he plays. It's just like he's doing lead and rhythm at the same time, and I would really love to get to that point and where I can do lead and rhythm, and it all sounds great.
Yeah.
And I've always been a big fan of the local folk scene, especially Morning Bird. They were just fantastic. I went and saw them when they played with Steven Sokella over at Cavilla Hall, and they just left the whole room silent after every song. You know, because usually you'll get like the light applause, clap, like, oh, yay, the song's done. Or you'll get like, woo, that kind of stuff. But very, very rarely you'll get musicians who can just leave a room speechless, like, I wasn't expecting you guys to be that good. Yeah, that was pretty much Morning Bird because they were just really on it. I also wanted to mention Alex says he might think about returning to the band after he's sought some help. As far as Raleigh is concerned, he's out of it. He can't do anything for it. So we are going to be looking for a new drummer. I promise you, it's not going to be let down. And I think I'm going to be sending you one of the completed songs to be exclusively released on. Really fantastic because I'm very proud of it. It's really,
Yeah.
really, really good. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Well,
Well,
Robert,
I mean,
that all sounds like amazing stuff, and it sounds like you've got everything kind of planned out coming down the pipeline. That's
oh
absolutely
yeah,
phenomenal. I'm so glad to hear that Alex is getting on the right path.
oh yeah,
I mean the right path for him. So that's
yeah,
fabulous. Welcome to 2023.
oh yeah.
We made it out of the woods.
As soon as December rolls around, it feels like all the bad stuff from the year is just piling on that one month. Once January rolls around, for some people, it can feel like it's still continuing on, it's still slugging on, but I can feel the burden just coming right off of my shoulders, especially since Alex has been starting to talk to me and Raleigh explain more about his position on that. It was really hard for me to try to figure out what did I wanted to originally do without Alex and Raleigh because Alex and Raleigh, I made such a big part of the band. I was like, your decisions count. Like your opinion matters. When we made all these changes, it was just like, it was to just let Raleigh have his songs because they're not mine. Even though I don't feel like there's actual theft in the music community, it's more like you can only make so many songs with the same chords that you're already given, you know?
Definitely. And, within the music business side of things, not necessarily copying somebody, but it's called lifting. So you lift something off of somebody else's song and put it into your own. Also, in the more digital realm, it's called sampling. So I think that's kind of cool that you do some lifting and kind of incorporate it into your own because that's very true. Robert, if somebody's interested in contacting you for a show or to hear about your new album, how can they do that?
Everything is right on northernacoustics.org. Northernacoustics.org is our own website where we have our pictures, our songs, our videos, everything that anybody who's new to Northern Acoustics would need. You can sign up for our mailing list, and we do a monthly email letter.
Robert, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule
Yeah.
and family life and band life to talk with me and to share Northern Acoustics with the wider world. Best of luck on the rest of your recording, and I can hardly wait for your album to come out. Please let me know when you're having a CD release. That's amazing. And we'll take a listen to that new song exclusively for the 9 o'clock meltdown here in a moment. Thank you so, so much, and have a wonderful day.
You too. I just wanted to mention the album's going to be out 05/20/2023.
All right,
All
perfect.
right.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for having me.